Hello, my name is Rick Saffeels, PDGA number 67122. I started playing professionally this January, so we're going to do it in the bag. I'm going to start out with my tomahawk discs. I throw a glow boss. I throw it for long distance shots that are going to have a consistent turnover. I throw a glow starfire for shorter distances. Each one has a dyed rim to be able to see it a little bit better in the daytime. I throw an overstable stiletto from Latitude 64. It's a very hard meat hook that finishes whichever way I'm going, whether it's a forehand or a backhand. I throw a very beat-in destroyer for a roller and tailwind shots to be able to get maximum distance. I throw a Prodigy D2. This has been a new disc to my bag. It gets a lot of distance to it for either forehand shots or for long distance backhands. Next we go to PD2. I have four PD2s that I use. I use glow orange PD2 that I'd be able to use for forehand shots. I use my champion PD2 for backhands. They're very overstable discs meant for in the winds or just for any time when you're playing. I use a stalker for any time that I'm throwing a backhand shot. This stalker is a little bit beat in, so each time that I throw it on a backhand route, it's going to finish where I want it to, whether it's going to be a little bit of a turnover or finish over to my left. I throw a Paul Macbeth 3-time Thunderbird. This Thunderbird is a little bit beat in. I've had it for a couple months now, and I use it for consistent shots that I know I want to be able to have a nice hyzer finish that's going to be close to the basket. I have a champion boss that I use for max distance drives, downhill shots, or anything that's a flat land. Has a very consistent, a little bit to the break to the right, finishes left for me, very consistent. It's one of my longest distance drivers. Then I have a Star Destroyer that I use for short backhand shots or forehand shots. The destroyers are very consistent. It's what you'll see a lot of people using, and the reason why is because it gets a lot of distance, but it's also the flight path that you want. Let's go to some mid-ranges that I have. I use 4 different types of mid-ranges. We'll start with my KC Pro Rock. This is what I use for straight shots that are going through tunnels or big Annie bombs that will be able to try to finish towards the basket. I use a Rock 3. This is probably my go-to mid-range of choice. It's always a very consistent finish to the left as I'm a right-handed backhand thrower. I'll use this a lot for anhizers as well, but it's one that is very consistent and I know exactly where it's going to finish. I have a Crystal Buzz. This is another one that is a very consistent flight pattern. Whether I put a little bit of an anhyzer on it or a straight shot, it's always going to finish in a consistent manner. You'll sometimes use it for tailwinds or being able to use it for headwind shots on a turnover route. I use a Lucid Verdict. This is my go-to for consistency on a headwind kind of day. This is a very straight thrower and a consistent finish with a hyzer. I use this for a lot of different short range shots, anything that's 350 and under. For the 2 putters that I'm using right now, I use my go-to Yeti Pro AVR. This is what I use for anything that's 30 feet and in. It's a very consistent shot. I also use it for sometimes my drives, as I'm going to be throwing a hyzer at the basket that's anything that's 300 or under. And then new of the first run Colts. This is a very different type of disc that I've ever thrown. It's a very fast putter, so I'll use it for sometimes off the tee pad, or I'll use this for anything that's more than 30 feet from the basket. That's it from my bag, and thank you very much, Locals Route. See you soon.